What's up, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Perspectives with Jeremiah Stephenson. And I'm your host, Jeremiah Stephenson. And today we have one of my friends. I want to say he's a good friend of mine, but I realized we've known each other for years, and we used to live back in our old hometown. And I don't know how much I really knew you back then. I knew of you, and we crossed paths a little bit. But I have Timothy Dunkard. He is a drummer for Goodfires and Royal Oaks. And he's also just a really awesome, super chill person. I've known him for a good little bit, and he's got an interesting story. He's got a cool style of being who he is, and he's super awesome. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Awesome. How's your day been?
It's been pretty good so far. Just kind of went to work and got home and chilled for a minute, and now I'm here.
Nice.
So yeah,
I'm here. It's cold too. Which is
really
weird.
Yesterday was almost 80 degrees, and today was 44 with probably a wind chill of I don't know. It probably feels like 32.
And if I still wore shorts, I would have definitely wore shorts yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. I was wearing shorts yesterday. It was actually quite wonderful. But yeah, I walked outside this morning to go to work, and it was blinding sun and rain at the same time. It didn't make any sense.
Ooh, you got rain. We didn't get rain.
I mean, it wasn't much. It was just kind of
whenever it rains, I freaking love rain. As long as I can get rain, it makes me happy. I'm an awesome person. It's fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It's super dope.
I'm definitely a fan of gloomier days for sure.
Yeah.
And cool days. I'm already missing, fall and winter and everything.
For sure.
I guess it's still technically winter, especially with days like today, but
yeah, I can't wait for I miss the snow that we didn't get this year.
Yeah, the little flurry we got.
Little flurry? Yeah. You got flurry?
We got a little flurry. I watched it out the window while I was at work.
Yeah.
And we were expecting to be busy, and then it wasn't busy at all because the 10 seconds of snow that happened. So.
Yeah. No, we had back in Atlanta, it was last week. It was all the schools shut down and everything, and they're like, "Oh God, this is supposed to be a snowpocalypse again," and then it didn't happen, and so I got to drive straight to work in 15 minutes. It usually takes me 30.
Happens. Yeah, oh yeah.
And then we just hung out at work all day because nobody went to work, and it was just it's snow. It's gonna snow today, and it just stayed pretty bright and chill.
Yeah,
it was really nice.
It was really nice. Those are the best days, honestly. Days that are supposed to be one thing and end up being another thing.
Yeah, for sure. So let's start off from the beginning of your being as a human being.
My being as a human being?
As a human being. Who are you is my first question.
Well, as was stated earlier, I'm Timothy Dunkard. Timothy Alonzo Dunkard, if that adds some more pizzazz to me. I was born in Pierre, South Dakota. I lived there for about 6.5. No, I think I turned 7 as we were moving. It was right before or after or something. And then we moved to Brunswick, Georgia, where I spent most of my life until, from that moment until I was a sophomore in high school, moved back to the Midwest to Wyoming for my sophomore year of high school. And then we ended up coming back to Brunswick. And now I'm up here. So that went to Brunswick for the rest of high school and the rest of college. And yeah, moved here 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago.
Where's here?
Here is, technically it's Kennesaw, Woodstock, Ackworth, Georgia, kind of that region. The house is literally on the border of Ackworth and Woodstock, and everything I do is in Kennesaw. And so Atlanta, it's all outside Atlanta. Yeah,
it's all outside Atlanta. What is the name of the house?
The name of the house is jokingly called, and it could be easily misconstrued for everyone not here. Is the Beef Castle.
Nice.
There's 5 guys all living together relatively amicably for what, I don't know. I feel like most housing situations where you have 5 people that people are I can't believe you live with that many people, and how do you not kill each other? And it's honestly, I mean, there were times for sure. Especially because my room is right under the kitchen. And people like to wear boots and stuff, and so that was always a fun time. But
I part of my story was I ended up living with the guys over here at the Beef Castle for 2 months?
2 months.
2.5 months or so. Whenever I first moved up here to Atlanta, getting myself situated, it was a wonderful time. I quite miss it.
Yeah, we all miss it very much.
Every night, everybody would come home, we'd just hang out and drink and have a good time. So I do very much miss that. But we've all gone on to do more stuff, and we're all doing things. So it's just it was a season of my life where it was super cool, and to have this community that was right here, next to you, is just
there's always a family to come home to, essentially. Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah. I recently moved out myself, so I miss it as well.
We're doing something.
Yeah, I mean everybody's I think everybody took the time they needed to kind of get used to their surroundings and not be in Brunswick anymore. That's another thing is everyone moved from Brunswick, Georgia. So,
ooh, that's something we're going to talk about. It's Brunswick.
Brunswick.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. So everybody's kind of getting acquainted and kind of getting their lives together and kind of getting away from everything they knew, and especially me. I mean, it was the first real independent outing I had. You know, I went to college in my hometown, and like my own house like went through a number of changes with who was there and whatnot, but you know, I've never really left home until very recently, so it's been a learning experience, and I think one that has made me grow significantly. So
nice.
Feels good. I don't regret anything, and I do enjoy it up here regardless of the traffic.
For sure. Yeah, no, traffic today was something else.
Oh my god, it was awful.
So you play drums for two different bands.
Yep.
Royal Oaks and For Goodfires. Am I missing anything else?
No, not currently. There's been a lot of jokes about starting new bands and stuff, and recently we wanted to start like a metal band with a couple people, but I don't. That's not really panning out, and I just because everybody's busy with other stuff. But being in two bands is already pretty intense. But being in three, especially one that's not really like a serious band or anything, is kind of like.
Well, how did that pan out? Let's start there. Is kind of like that starting your high school years? Both those bands.
So Goodfires, actually both bands happened after high school. In high school, and like right after I got back from Wyoming, Chris and I, one of my roommates here, and
he'll be on the podcast.
Yeah,
he's gonna be on the podcast.
And he's the singer and guitarist of Royal Oaks currently, but we're in a metal band, like an old metalcore band called So Were They a Gentleman, and we did that. Like pretty much that started like right after we had come up with like a name and everything, and I would always plan to make a band like at the beginning of high school, especially. We had talked about doing it, and then I moved, so that didn't help. But came back, got another friend of ours that played guitar to come join us, and then we basically the three of us just kind of started writing a bunch of metal music, what we were into. And that went from probably junior year of high school to 2014. I think that was like my sophomore year of college. I think I don't know. I think our EP I guess we put out another EP. Anyway, I ramble. I digress. No, but the first EP we came out with was like our first year of college, I think, and then after that we kind of did another EP that was like our breakup one. Like as we were breaking up, we just had a bunch of another EP of songs written, and we're like, you know what, we should put this out. And that I was actually kind of proud of. I still am pretty proud of that.
And this is a worthy of gentleman.
Yeah, this is so worthy.
I don't think I've heard any of y'all's music from
really.
that. I need to go find it.
It's definitely something. It's cringy at times. We were definitely high schoolers following a trend, but I mean, there's definitely a lot that I'm still kind of proud of. I mean, as far as heavy music goes, it wasn't bad. I think we did a good job at it for what it was.
Nice.
But so then Royal Oaks kind of started picking up after we all kind of grew up a little bit. It originally kind of started as a joke. Well, not even really a joke as much as just we, weren't playing music anymore. And it was, at the time, it was like all the same people minus the guitarist that Mitch, just for further clarification. So he kind of went on to do some like a job and everything. And then the rest of us, essentially, like the four of us that were left, started playing like pop punk music, like cliche pop punk music, like as about to the T as you could, because we were just like, it'd be fun. I'm like, why not?
Yeah,
it's like the next step down from hardcore or heavy music. So we'll do that. We'll see what that's all about. And so it kind of started doing that, and then we started like actually writing. And then Chris kind of was like, I kind of want to play guitar, so he sat down and really started like cranking out some stuff. And then it, we wrote like a handful of like super pop punk songs that we listen to now, what we demoed out, and it's kind of hard to listen to, but but yeah, so we had that, and then we came up with the name Royal Oaks, so that's where the name started. I think that's named after
somebody's neighborhood.
Yeah,
right?
it was Lane's neighborhood, actually. Yeah,
oh, really?
Because it was 2015. That summer we spent a lot of time like Lane had a neighbor that he was like house sitting for, and they had a pool, and so like all of us were working, and then we'd get off like super late, and then we'd all go to that house and like into the hours like from anywhere between midnight and like 5 a.m. would just like chill and like hang out at this house. And so that summer I think meant a lot to us, and so we kind of just
commemorate
exactly it was a cool name. We were like, all right, this fits. So we stuck with it, and then Royal Oaks has kind of been a thing ever since. And then
Royal Oaks just released some merchandise, didn't it?
Yeah,
I saw that today on Facebook.
It was funny because I didn't even know. Like, we had talked about doing that for months, and then like they just pulled the trigger today.
Nice.
It's not like we didn't like actually print out merch. Like, we don't have the merch. It's through like I think it's like Terminus Tees or something. They have a program where you can essentially make a design, and like they buy it through their website, and then they get a cut, and then we get a little bit of the cut. It's a much smaller fraction than if we were to like sell it outright ourselves.
Right.
But because we're not really doing anything right now, Royal Oaks is kind of, in a transitionary period. We just one of our guitarists left, and we're still trying to like write and kind of decide where we're going from there. So Royal Oaks has kind of been on the DL lately.
What do they say? You've been on hiatus.
Yeah, I mean, for lack of a better term, I guess. I mean, there was never any definite like we need to stop now. We've constantly been working, and we still want to do things. And we would love to play shows, but that's really difficult to do with our music and only 3 people. Yeah. And so we're trying to kind of figure it out. We're probably going to look for somebody. Chris has actually been, like, lately especially, he's been really cranking into some new demos and stuff that are sounding really good. So
that's good.
Definitely taking our stuff in another direction. So yeah, the EP that Royal Oaks actually put out, that's nothing like the first stuff we were writing. We kind of just like trashed all of that, and we still have those demos. But then we literally just kind of like holed up in a shed, or no, actually I think we had the practice space at this time. We wrote like an entire EP, like it completely. I say completely, but for most people it probably still sounds kind of pop punk. But that was definitely an influence. But
I still listen to that EP.
Oh yeah, no, I'm actually really proud of that EP. I think that came out
super dope.
Pretty well for being, I don't know, it just happened very naturally, and that felt really good. Yeah. So yeah, we're kind of finding our way through what we're doing right now. And
give me a little bit about Goodfires. How did that your involvement with that kind of startup?
Goodfires is definitely my primary focus as of late, and I think we've been making a lot of good traction. But Goodfires started with our guitarist and I, Lane, who I mentioned earlier for different reasons. But we went to high school together. I started kind of hanging out with him in high school. I think I met him through Chris, actually. They had the class together or something. But we would only hang out every once in a while. It wasn't until like the end of high school that we actually like started hanging out. He was really interested. He got some old like recording gear. Like I don't even remember what it is. It's some sort of almost archaic kind of recording device at this point, but I think he still has it. But
nice.
But yeah, he got it from like, I don't even know where he got it, but he was starting to mess around with that as much as high schoolers can. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing, so, and we were still in the kind of metal music. I remember Chris and I would like record like metal covers, and it was just trash. Yeah. But it was fun, and I think that definitely Lane from then on has kind of been constantly like, evolving his, production skills. I think that's something he's always been super interested in. It's kind of taken over his life as I know it. Yeah. And
I was up here last week. Yeah.
Yeah. He's super talented. Yeah. He's like actually like producing. He's doing like all of our stuff, and he's an incredible musician and engineer, and so he's really come a long way from that. But yeah, Goodfires started as us two just kind of messing around and recording some demos. We never really intended to make a band. We just kind of hung out and really just kind of thought we worked well together and kept going. And then it wasn't until I think it was also 2015 we met Avery. I'd technically grown up with. I knew who Avery was, like, for like,
same here,
at least especially like high school and stuff. I knew who he was. I'd never really, he was like friend of friends, you know, like I knew some of the people he hung out with. It's funny because I think he owns one of our So Worthy a Gentleman shirts. Like he got one like way back when, and like went to one of our shows, and it's just really funny in retrospect. But
I didn't realize I knew him. I actually worked a full summer with him.
Really?
This was before he had his Jesus beard. Like, I worked a full summer with him.
Yeah, he looks completely different than what he did before. Yeah.
I met up with him again like a year and a half or two later, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what? Oh, I know you.
Yeah.
Like, I've known you for a long time. Like, oh my gosh.
Absolutely, yeah. So we actually started like hanging out in like I had classes with him. We were in the same major and everything. I had classes with him in college, and once we kind of started talking and hanging out more, I learned he played bass, and I was just essentially like, I think Lane and I had started. We started. That's when we kind of started renting out that practice space, the same one as Royal Oaks. But so I just kind of was like, why don't we, have Avery over and see, if he wants to play with us. And like, I think Lane and I had played a show once, kind of like,
just the two of you?
Yeah, just the two of us. And it was a very like low key thing. There were some people that he knew that were coming through and needed a place to play a show, and we used the practice space and we played together. And that's kind of funny to think about now, but yeah, then Avery played the next show with us, and I think it was like a December show or something. It was at Heebie-Jeebies.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, so he played with us then, and like, I don't know, he clicked like right away. It was like a perfect fit, and we've been the same ever since. Like we've kind of been cranking stuff out. Our first EP, the Goodfires EP, actually the only EP that's out right now. On Spotify and stuff, that was all pretty much Lane and I. That was kind of the stuff we were doing before Avery joined. And then
wait, that was before Avery?
Yeah, well, I mean Avery was there when we recorded it, but all the music was pretty much written, and then it was refined a little bit when Avery joined.
Gotcha.
And then we put that out we actually came up here. We have a friend, Mark Gallegos. He's been wonderful to us and has been a huge help and a friend and everything for the entirety of Goodfires. And so we recorded that EP with him, and then yeah, we've kind of just been working ever since. And then when we all actually moved up here, because we had been driving back and forth, Lane kind of came up a little bit early for school. He was going to Kennesaw, and then Avery and I came up 2 years ago. And then since then we've kind of just been trying to hit it as much as we can.
Nice. We've definitely made a lot of progress.
Yeah,
so much progress.
We've grown a lot just as musicians in general, especially like being up here. I think we've like each individually, even if the band hasn't really done a whole lot since then, at least released stuff.
Yeah,
we've been playing a lot of shows and just kind of finding our sound and everything. We don't really sound anything like that first EP anymore. And
one of the things I will say is like kind of encouragement is like I've been running around the Atlanta DIY circuit, or one of the many DIY circuits. Yeah. And there have been multiple people where they're like, why are you here at this show? I was like, oh, I knew like Royal Oaks and Goodfires, and that's kind of who got me into this. And so I've been checking out the different shows. For those of you listening, if you don't know what DIY is, you can check back last episode. I had Xander, Car Crash Kid. They were on, and they kind of helped push that DIY circuit type thing. But a lot of people do know who you guys are.
Really?
And so it's crazy because
it is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's weird to hear like.
I mean, we haven't we've been up here for 2 years now, but we haven't really done anything. We've kind of been doing, kind of working on ourselves, I guess, and kind of like trying to, do what we can internally before we like do a whole lot. I mean, we've played shows and stuff, but we haven't really like connected, I feel like, with a lot. I mean, we've played a few shows and we know people, and we even put out a split with a band before we even met them. Actually, it's funny, we put out that split with them with very little prior communication. We were originally supposed to do it with another band that we were like good friends with in Statesboro, Bird Person. We were supposed to be like a 3-way split.
Okay.
And then for whatever reason, Bird Person had to stop. They weren't able to do it, and so we just kind of kept it. Things Amazing and us, and I think it turned out really cool.
I love it.
It was, yeah,
and
we're much more proud of those songs than the entire EP. But we're even more proud of like the songs that we're playing now, which some of them we've been playing almost. There's one. So the song that I feel like we're known for is like our closing song whenever we play live.
Yes.
We've been playing that as long as we've been a band. Like that's
really?
That's been a song, and like
and it's not been recorded yet. Just for this, they're in the process of recording it right now.
we are currently working on an EP that is almost entirely self-produced. Well, actually, no, it is entirely self-produced. At least up to this point. We're definitely getting some help from friends and stuff, but like. Especially Mark again has been helping us out a lot just in like random ways, but yeah, we're super excited for what's coming next, and I think this is when we're really gonna catch our stride, and we're trying to like get our foot in the door for a lot of like the Atlanta community and stuff, and I mean, that's completely our fault for not really like being as involved, because we've just kind of been, working on ourselves.
I think there's a good idea of self-cultivating before you like self-present.
Yeah, exactly.
That way, when you do self-present, there's so much more that you're not necessarily just like stuck within yourself, or just like,
we definitely want to have something to kind of bring to the table. We want to be, we want to make our impact in some way, and we feel like this is kind of the best way to go about it. So,
for sure.
So we've been around, but we haven't really. We'll get there eventually. Yeah.
So we'll kind of turn around, and we're gonna go to your personal life a little bit.
Okay.
What growing up in Brunswick? Well, actually, Brunswick's gonna be a whole side conversation after we talk about you, because you're the first person that is not in Brunswick that has lived there that's on the podcast.
Okay.
But I'm trying to figure out how to word it, because I have it down on paper. But like, what was your growing up like? Because I know you dealt with loss, and one of the things with this podcast is I want people to see that people can overcome things that have happened to them, and even if we haven't overcome them, what ways have we found to find healing within that? Yeah. So can we kind of go over that as comfortable as you are with it?
Yeah, no.
But like, what kind of was your story with loss and tragedy almost?
Yeah. So in 2012, and kind of leading up to that point, I guess it was my whole junior year. My mom, so just to kind of go ahead and say it, is I lost my mom in 2012, February 2012. Actually, February 7th.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that happened, because that was literally yesterday. It was the anniversary. It's been 7 years now. But yeah, in my high school, she had been diagnosed with like I believe it was like a stomach tumor or something. It was like a cancerous thing, and I've honestly, the details of a lot of that whole time are very fuzzy, because like I was in high school still, I didn't really know how to deal with these kinds of things, and like obviously a lot of me still regrets kind of the way of like I felt like I was just kind of distracting myself the whole time, and I was like pushing myself away, and I wasn't really involved with a lot of that process, and so she would go to the hospital thing, she would go to chemo and everything, and like I saw kind of the deterioration, but I never really like I don't know, I never really had a conversation with them like, hey, what's going on, or like I never went to those hospital visits, and I never did anything. So that like sometimes that eats away at me for no other reason than like, obviously with loss you're gonna feel some sort of regret or something, wish things that would have been different, but yeah. So then in 2012 is when that happened, and after that, it was my senior year of high school. It was the last year. And I feel like I kind of like bounced back pretty quick, like as far as like immediately after it happened. Obviously the days after that were rough, and I mean still are, but like it was kind of one of those things that like it happened, there was an immediate effect, and then like literally I took like a day off of school, and then I was back like after that, and like people were talking to me and everything, and like I was okay. Like it wasn't like it was a very weird experience. Like going back to it, it was never like just a look at what you see in the movies, where it's just like people are like,
I'm gonna be gone for like 5 months
or like, or I'm gonna like cry every single day and like just scream and grief and everything, and it was just like that. I mean, things like that happened, but it was never like, but it like I said, I was back at school, like doing my normal thing, like after that, like and so it's been kind of a very slow kind of understanding with it. I guess for these past 7 years is like it never comes back to me the same way. It's kind of like there was all the initial stuff. I think the hardest part was like my dad, and seeing how he was going through it, and I almost felt like I wanted to help him more, and and then it was for my own
well, like for me, so for those, most people don't know because I don't talk about it a lot, is I lost my mom 3 years ago, this April 28th, I believe. And I was kind of the same way, where like out of like everybody in my family, I kind of like saw what was happening and everything. And then it happened, and I was very much the person that was like, all right, these are the facts, this was happening, it happened, oh my God. And like hours afterward, like literally hours afterward, I was like making jokes about it, and just kind of, that was kind of my way of kind of like
coping.
Yeah, it's coping and everything.
Yeah.
And then I ended up working like 3 jobs right after that. I had a girlfriend for a little bit because I think I was very much one of those people that is very much like, I understand what's happening, but I need to keep moving. I need to keep progressing. And I don't think I allow myself to grieve properly. And I'm actually in the process of doing a grief recovery. So that's actually been really cool. And I've actually been looking at some of the things that I was doing back then to kind of
combat it a little bit.
Combat it. Not even like run away from it, but like I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was like one of the things that like, or a few of the things that was just kind of like, this is what I'm doing. So like get away from it. Yeah,
it's definitely a very much a learning process, and just kind of like a lot of things don't hit you until much later, and I don't know if it might even be like some kind of shock or something. You know, it's just like you don't fully comprehend what's going on or what the rest of everything is going to be like after that happens. Is like, you obviously feel a lot of pain in that moment, and then after that it's just kind of like, you know, things that were so normal or that you kind of feel like you took advantage of is like, those things are completely different now. And like our whole family dynamic, I mean, we've always been super close, and I think that definitely brought us, like my siblings and my dad and everybody, I think everybody is a lot closer, or at least closer in a way that I don't feel like, you know, you grow up with your family and it's like, obviously you love each other. I mean, that's like, there, but like, I don't know. I don't think anybody fully like grasped, like once, like, especially like my mom of all people was gone. It's just like, I think we all kind of held on to that a lot more tightly than we had a completely different understanding of like what we meant to each other, and like how, you know, like the loss of any one of us and how devastating that is. And so, so yeah, I mean, we're all kind of in separate places now. We're all adults, and I was the last one to grow up a little bit, but we definitely, I mean, we talked to each other a little bit yesterday, and kind of just a little message of like, you know, love you guys. You know, I know everybody's kind of feeling it today, and we'll get through it. So
that's, I know for me, one of the things with my loss, like my dad and I actually grew a lot closer. And that was kind of weird because, like, for, like, growing up, you're like, oh, I'm a teenager now. So I lost my mom when I was, 20 years old. So for me, like, when I was younger, I was like, I'm 17, I'm a man. Talk to me like a man. And he was like, you my son, boy. And I'm like, I'm a man. But, like, in that process of loss, he kind of finally saw me where I was like, I've been a man for the last 4 or 5 years. As much of a man as a 20-year-old could be. And you definitely saw where he was more open to talk to me about a lot of things. And you definitely see, like, with the loss that we had, the family dynamics really, really changed. Where me and my sister are a lot more closer, whereas when we were younger, we kind of like, But, like, she and I have a really great relationship. My little brother, he's awesome. My older brother, he and I were super close when we were younger, but now we're kind of, like, a little further apart. But that's because he's dealing with his loss in his way, and I'm still dealing with my loss in my own way. And we've reconciled a lot of the stuff that has happened. But there's still you can still see a lot of growth from the people. And I think with loss, it's a lot of, it just throws something at you where it's like, oh shit, like, there's a lot going on right now.
For me, I was 17 at the time when it happened. And not that I was, you know, I mean, I was about to end high school, and like, I wasn't, you know, a kid anymore, but like, there was so much I didn't know, you know? And so like that, I think single-handedly was probably what made me kind of like grow the most, because like I feel like I had to, you know, I feel like when something like that hits you, your entire perspective of everything changes. Everything's different. And then like, I don't know, just the way you kind of look at things, and like your entire worldview of like what matters and what doesn't matter, and like people matter, and not the bullshit that you were doing, you know, or that you were looking forward. Like even college, I was like, I don't, like, I mean, I was graduating and I was going to college because I felt like, you know, I was doing my parents proud, you know, and then like, I still went and everything, and I don't regret that, but like, I don't know, it just, things like that just seem so trivial now after that. And it's like, I think I grew a lot from that. I had to, you know, and you really kind of see what, I don't know, you see people's true colors, or at least, you know, the depth of their feeling towards things and their love and everything is you really kind of see, like you said, you know, it seemed like your dad respected you more when it happened, is because the way you were dealing with it. Obviously, you weren't like, you weren't like losing your mind or being really immature about it. You know, you were taking it and you were moving on, and you weren't giving up or anything. And I think that it levels the playing field for that. And I feel like a similar thing happened with my dad. I mean, my dad and I always got along, and there was never really any. I was always kind of a, I don't want to say like a cowardly kid, but I was definitely a goody two shoes type. I didn't really break the rules or anything. My brother did that. My sister was like the smart, like super successful feeling, and then I was kind of the middle ground. But I feel like, I mean, it was pretty much just me and him in the house at that time. Okay. And my sister, my sister was in Minnesota at the time, so my sister had moved out. My brother wasn't there, so it was really just us, and we all kind of came together. And I think my dad and I definitely grew a lot closer in that time. Because, when we were before that, I feel like I was, kind of doing whatever high school things and like coming home and really late and, didn't really like interact a whole lot. But I feel like after that, I don't know, we started talking a lot, and like it just like me and my dad had developed a relationship that I feel like wouldn't have happened otherwise, or at least not till much later in my life. Right.
And that's one of the things I think, like, looking back on my experiences, like it sucks that, you know what I mean? Like, it sucks that
like that's what had to happen for the, oh no, that constantly, like,
and it pisses me off because I'm like, what the hell? Like, that's fucking stupid.
That's just
it's
human conditioning.
It's definitely something that's, you see it, and you're very aware of it.
Oh yeah,
you're very aware of it.
And that's another thing is, like, I was always, and something that's still kind of like, I still see or I still kind of worry about or things like that. It's like I don't want people to like pity me or treat me differently. That was something that, like, obviously shortly after it happened, everybody was coming to me like, I'm so sorry, blah blah, and that was truly appreciated. But there came a point where, like, that didn't need to happen anymore. Like, I understand, like, it's kind of an understood, obviously. And I was always worried that people would like start to like pity me all the time or treat me differently all the time. Or
for me, I had somebody tell me, they're like, don't look for anybody's pity, something else. And I didn't realize how much that affected me until I started this grief recovery process. And I regret that he said that to me, because I was never looking for pity, but I was looking for solace in not people, but like one or two particular people. Yeah. And because of that, I kind of closed myself off. Yeah. And I didn't allow myself to, I kind of was like, all right, well, if no one can pity me, I can't have these feelings. Yeah. So I have to like get rid of that, and I have to make sure that like I'm strong. And I kind of regret I use regret. I usually, like, one of the things I say is I've never regretted anything, but like, I definitely have. Yeah. It's like, I wish that I was still allowed myself to still emote. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's your case, but like, I'm trying to get more so in these podcasts where I actually talk to you. Mm-hmm. So because we both kind of had a similar experience, is very much different. But I think that that's something that, looking back on it, is something that I really wish that I've been more aware of at the time.
Oh yeah, I definitely like. I'm a fairly reserved person just in general, but
that's cool.
But
it's super. I will say, like, you're super fucking cool, and I know it's because you're reserved, but like, you just have this air about you where it's like you very much sit back and you're like, the fuck are you doing? In a good way. You're like, you should calm down. Like, this is a little stupid.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that definitely started around then. And I mean, I guess I've always, like I said, I was always kind of the timid child. So, like, I guess that's always been a thing. But definitely when that happened, I didn't necessarily, like, just completely close myself off. Because I definitely had some good support around that time. And there was never a time where I felt like, nobody was there for me or anything. And obviously I had my family that were going through very similar things in their own ways. But I don't know, that definitely, like, closed off a lot for me. I definitely pulled myself back and just kind of like, again, with that whole like worldview change, is like I just kind of started like sitting back and observing and trying to figure out what I was gonna do at that point, what mattered and what should I be doing.
So
and that definitely led to that.
But looking at that, it's been 7 years. Were there?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's so wild.
It's a long time. Was there any did any super negative things or moments come from that? And then we'll get to the healing of that. Like, what was your process of healing? But before I ask that question, were there any struggles that you that came from that helped grow that up? Or any very negative things that happened or you kind of perpetuated?
I definitely, like I kind of mentioned earlier, is like I instantly had a lot of regret. I instantly felt like, like I was a piece of shit for not being there more, or not like really even, I don't know. I feel like I didn't even really like spend a lot of time like with my mom, and like the time leading up to that is like even when she was like wasn't able to do anything, and I definitely beat myself up, and like I don't really anymore. I've definitely come to a much better place with that, but like obviously that's just going to be a kind of a natural byproduct of that happening, is like you're gonna wish that you had done something differently, and like I don't know, I was still a late teenager, but I was still a teenager, and so I felt like I was really selfish the whole time, and I would just go treat everything like nothing was really going on, like my mom was still there, so I was just okay, like, and then she wasn't there, and I was like, fuck.
Shit, fuck.
Things are not the same. So yeah.
How did that healing process start for you? How did it start, and what did it look like?
I don't know
if there was healing.
Yeah, well,
I will say, like, that's something I always go to, but like if there wasn't, and if it's something that's still a process, that's totally fine, because everyone has their own timing for everything. If you feel like you have healed from it, that's totally fine too.
Absolutely.
But I always like to ask that way it helps you kind of think about the question and look within yourself. Yeah. But then it also, like, it just gives you more of an awareness. Yeah.
So I don't know that there was any one thing that kind of happened as much as just I think having the people around, like I had my family from the beginning that really helped me through a lot of it, and I'm trying to think if there's anything like that really. I don't know. It
doesn't have to be
like it's kind of just it's kind of just been a whole learning process since that time. It's like I think I've just kind of come to grips with it. Obviously, there are some nights where it does get bad, or it just sometimes it'll pop in your head. It can be somebody could sit there and talk about my mom, or I could see something and like it won't affect me in any way. And then sometimes like a random little thing will just very slightly like remind me of a very specific moment, with my mom, and like I can't handle it, like there it is. I think the thing that's really kind of come up lately and that I've been kind of grappling with a little bit is trying not to get caught up too much in like the what ifs of, if she was still here, like what would our relationship be like, is like I hate that, like I don't feel like I appreciated her as much as I should have when I was younger, and I feel like now that I'm an adult and could have adult conversations with her, like what would that be like? Because like even when I was younger, I had a tremendous respect for her, and I was honestly probably more of a mama's boy. But no, I think looking back, there was so much about her that I wish I had appreciated, and I appreciate so much now, and like her creative drive, her drive in anything really, her need to kind of be productive, but in like a healthy way. Like it wasn't like she was working herself to death, but she felt like if she wasn't, like doing something of any value, then what was she doing? I remember specifically like one of the last few times like I talked to her is like she was like what brought her to tears, when she was going through the whole process. Obviously, when she found out, the inevitability, it was pretty devastating, but like what seemed to hurt her the most was that she couldn't do anything, like that she, because of the whole chemo process and everything, and like she couldn't, she was weak, so she couldn't like go anywhere or do anything or work on anything, like, and she was like, that was what hurt her the most, and I think that's kind of resonated with me especially, and kind of like my want to do valuable work or quality work or do something with myself that, would kind of make her proud, obviously, but like would make myself proud to do it even for myself, and and I think that definitely is something that's everybody in my family kind of, grapples with that. But
what does that look like for you? Is there anything that you have found that grabs your attention? Have you found what kind of drives you, your why to what you want to do for others, if it's for others, or like?
More or less. And it's always going to be a learning process. Like I've said about so many things. So this whole thing is like, life's obviously a learning process, but, I think especially since I've been up here and kind of been more independent and stuff, is like, trying to live in a way that like, trying to live in a way that I'm content with myself, and I don't hate myself for doing things like if I'm wasting time or something, like if I feel like I'm wasting time. I've become a lot more patient because I feel like I should be doing something, or like anytime I'm stuck in traffic for an hour, it's like I could be doing something. Granted, and then I get home and then I have that hour and I don't do anything, so that's tough. But I'm trying to come to a place where I'm more content with the things that I'm doing. But I also, on the flip side of that, I also want to be making choices and doing things that I feel like are valuable or bring some sort of quality to my life, like I want to do the things like work on music and stuff, and I think that creative drive is very much in that, is very much embedded in that whole like be productive but don't like kill yourself over it, and be content with your life and enjoy life a little bit while you're doing it. Don't, discipline is super important. Discipline is something that I struggle with myself, but it's something I feel like is the answer to so many things.
Yeah, that's like right now I'm in the process of like with this podcast and with my other podcast and with literally everything that I'm doing. It's like I can't sit down and not do anything. Exactly. But I'm also like killing myself.
Yeah, yeah. So I think finding the balance. I think
finding the balance is definitely something I'm working on right now.
And so many things can kind of like lead to that balance, and like I think this has been one of my driving forces, is that loss and kind of growing from that and finding that balance in my life and find out what matters to me, and build the relationships that matter, or that you feel like, don't like just, talk to people or something that give you something. Like, that's not the way to look at it, but something that genuine relationships and really connect with people. And I feel like that's so important.
I feel I will commend you on that, because that's something I feel like you do like excellently. Like you definitely,
I hope so.
When you do interact with people, you interact on such a way that it's very genuine. And like on the first podcast I talk about it, it's like I very much want to have people, and I have people up here that are very genuine within themselves and within the way they interact with other people. So like that's something that you've done, and you've done excellently. And I would hope that you continue to. Just like turn around, get off the party. Now. Fuck all y'all, we're done.
Nope. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, later.
Deuces. Yeah. We're out of this.
That's something I'm constantly working on, and especially building new relationships is something I've always struggled with. Is like I'm super like quiet and awkward around new people. Like when I moved up here, getting to work, getting to know like work people, coworkers, and everything. And I don't know, I just want to build some sort of genuine relationship with everyone I come in contact with, and I feel like that's a much better way to live, and a much more intentional way to live, and I try to do that.
What would you tell someone else that is going through loss, or what would you tell yourself from the past, like a younger version of Tim?
None of it's your fault unless you actually murdered somebody. That's a whole nother that's a whole other thing. No, but don't hate yourself. None of it's your fault. Things are going to happen, and the only way to keep on living is just to do just that and move forward, and really find value in people. Don't shut yourself away from people. Especially, I feel like it's a dangerous mindset. That's something that I never really delved too far into, but it definitely crossed my mind. Is like, I don't want to get close to people because I don't want to lose people again. That's a constant struggle, and that's anxiety, especially like romantic relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah,
that's a lot of anxiety sometimes. Yeah.
Like, I've only dated one person. That's why.
Yeah, no, there's certain times where it definitely, anyway. That's a different conversation. But what I would say, yeah, it's not your fault. Don't shut people out. Find those genuine relationships and really find the things that do make you happy. And that's just, I guess, general life advice is like, is do things that make you happy, because like, especially if you've lost something like that, like you start to realize how superficial so many of the other things you thought were important were. And really I think happiness is so rooted in relationships and just being genuinely connected. And yeah, really, that's I guess that's the main thing I'd say is don't blame yourself, and don't shut yourself off, and build relationships, and they will help you, even if they're not like directly supporting that. Just having people that you can trust, or people that you can confide in, or people you can just be happy around will help you by itself. You know, even if it's never addressed again, as long as like you are genuinely connecting with people, you will get through whatever you need to get through, you know.
And I would double down on that.
Yeah.
Complete 180. Let's talk about Brunswick. We're not going to talk about it a bunch. The people are amazing. What is your experience with Brunswick? So let me preface this. Being someone that lived there for a while, and then you also were able to you lived out in the Midwest, you got a different view of Brunswick than I did. For me, Brunswick was very much 10 years. Like, I was here 10 years. That's all I knew, especially from the age of like 10 to 20. I'm sorry, 11 to 20, whatever. I got to see a lot of like, Brunswick is my home. Like, I accept, like, that's where I'm from. That's what I tell people outside of where I was born. But Brunswick it's a weird thing. What was Brunswick like for you, and what would you kind of tell someone that never fucking heard of Brunswick? What is that?
If you have no reason to go there, don't. No, Brunswick is very much home, and it's funny because like I'm such a Midwestern like mountains person. Like I like the cold, I like mountains, I like things like that, and I will genuinely love that. Especially my time in Wyoming was super impactful on my life, and kind of just, you know, I was only like 6 when I left there the first time, and then I went back up, and Wyoming especially was some just fucking beautiful place. But yeah, going back to Brunswick will always be home. I grew up there. That I spent the majority of my life there, and pretty much all of my closest relationships were built there. All the people I'm, you know, closest to now, I met there or grew up with there. I don't think there's anything wrong with Brunswick, aside from it's just after being somewhere like here and being away from it and kind of, you know, getting used to kind of the way it was, and then kind of going back, like every time I go back to Brunswick, granted my family kind of spread out a lot, for, you know, various reasons. My dad went to Idaho, my sister's in Minnesota, my brother's still kind of in that area, but he's a little bit outside of it, but everyone went their separate ways, so I don't really have as much of a connection to it anymore. So I realized that it wasn't really the place as much as just all the people and everything, that why I liked Brunswick or loved Brunswick. Because going back now, everything's familiar, and I do miss the food a lot. There are a lot of good food places that I feel like I have yet to find up here. I'm sure they're here, but you know, like some of the seafood and stuff was just, you had all those seafood places. Those were cool. I feel like I'd appreciate that more as an adult. And that's one of those things. Another thing, I feel like if I went back now, if I moved back to Brunswick now, as an adult, independent adult, I feel like I could find some sort of, you know, I could be content there.
Could you though? Like,
well,
that was
I don't want to. I feel like I could. I feel like I could find something there that, you know, had I not left and come back, I would have been able to. Yeah, no, if I had stayed there, oh hell no.
Yeah.
But no, just kind of being somewhere else and then going back, like a lot of the things like on the island, and it might even just be because like I'm an adult, more of an adult now.
Well, so for me, it's very much Brunswick. For me, is like I love the people, love the people. The area's cool and beautiful. If you like beaches and shit, I hate beaches. Yeah, like it's nice, it's cool, it's whatever. But like the people there are like a lot of. After moving up here to Atlanta, there are a lot of genuine people. But like the people up here in Atlanta, whenever and maybe it's because I'm a little bit older too, but like when bullshit happens, they're like, oh shit, this is bullshit in terms of friendships and relationships and stuff like that. But back home in Brunswick, it's much like, oh, this is bullshit. It's the end of the world. Our relationship is done. Yeah. And you're like, whoa, calm down. I feel like it's a very different mentality.
Oh, absolutely.
Regarding friendships and people. And maybe it's because, there's only so many people there and you know each other. You see each other every freaking day. So it's like when someone pisses you off, you're like, we're fucking done. But like up here, it's like, oh, I'll see you like 3 weeks from now.
There's like 10 more people. Like just the sheer population difference. And I can't tell if like, there's been a lot of instances up here where I'm like, wow, everyone's an asshole. Like everyone is an asshole up here. But like, I also realized that the ratio is significantly more. So you're 1 out of 10 people happens like and so like I feel like in Brunswick and I guess a lot of the growing up there, obviously relationships are gonna seem different.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like I'm comparing place to place in that with any sort of like control group, but I don't know. Things up here seem a lot more like I don't think superficial is the word, but like. There's definitely a layer of that kind of distrust, or just kind of like we have to get to know each other and then we can get to that point. Versus like somewhere like Brunswick, I feel like there's that instant Southern hospitality kind of thing where like
you live right next door to me. We're gonna be best friends
exactly.
forever.
Yeah,
like,
there's that. It's more kind of there, I guess, because Atlanta's just like a huge city and has people from everywhere around. So obviously that's gonna be a thing. But like I don't know. I feel like up here there's definitely like a layer you kind of have to like go through before you
keep going.
Yeah, and I think it's just the busyness and just the amount of people and just the constant movement and I think that's just that lifestyle. Any big city that's gonna happen. So.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point for me where I can go home for like no more than 2 to 3 days. Like the last time I went home, I feel like I stayed a day too long.
Oh yeah, no, I can't stand being there anymore. The main reason I've spent any time there is because when we were like on tours and it was kind of like a central location, so we would go back there, and it was nice to have a place to sleep. That was about it. But like, I kind of live off of being like living through all my friends' families. Like
one of the things is like even with my own personal family is like. My older brother and my 2 siblings, they all live with my dad now. And it's like, when you get out of there and you have like your own independence and like, it's Christmas, you should go stay at your dad's house. You're like, fuck that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no.
I'm going to text all my friends and then like, I love y'all. And it's like, y'all haven't done anything to piss me off. Yeah. But it's like, I'm an adult now. Yeah. And like, I don't, I'll stay with y'all for like
it's a lot of work.
It's weird. It's definitely weird. That's something I'm still like figuring out and getting used to.
It's kind of cool kind of making your own traditions too. Like here, I think the past 2 Christmases, we just kind of hung out and had Chinese food, like
and Thanksgiving
and did nothing. I mean, we still have a tree. Like we're one of those, those groups of people that still has to have a Christmas tree, have a beef castle Christmas.
Like in Thanksgiving,
exactly.
They do Friendsgiving, and I try and make it. I didn't make it this past year, but like I always try and make it whenever you guys do that.
Yeah, it was
that's always a fun time. Really, it wasn't wild.
I mean, kind of. I don't know. No, it was definitely wild. I was like, it felt like a more genuine kind of wild this past time. It felt more like there was just like a bunch of people and a lot of people I didn't know. That, so it was kind of weird, just a bunch of people and like. It didn't feel as like.
No, I'm angry. I missed it. Shit.
It was still a lot of fun.
Nice. So we're gonna start to wrap up a little bit. Okay. If you don't know, we've been talking for about 54 minutes.
I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. So every episode we have our previous guest asked our current guest a question. And if you don't know who our previous guest was, I said it earlier in the podcast, but I'm just going to say this. If you don't know who it was, don't rewind it and find out who I said it was. Just go and listen to it. Because, it's a podcast and it's fun. Fucking listen.
Series.
Yeah.
You gotta start.
Just listen to everything. Hear how like the sound quality gets better with each episode. Fucking do it, man.
It's a work in progress.
Oh, yeah.
I just realized I was backing up from the mic that whole time.
Whoops. And like whenever I cough or like scream, I see the spike and I'm like, oh, wow, I need to calm down.
Yeah.
But our last guest has a question for you, Tim.
Okay.
And that question is, if you could change any one thing about your life, would you? And what would it be?
I think the biggest thing isn't really anything super deep. I wish I had spent more time learning more instruments.
Okay.
I wish I had put like I can only really play drums. I have a very minor understanding of like keyboard and things like that because I was in high school band and percussion stuff. So like I had to learn scales and stuff. So like I have some form of basic knowledge of melodic stuff, but I can't play guitar to save my life. And I want to.
Yeah.
Because I'm also one of those people like, and it's really hard to write songs when you're just a drummer. And I feel like I have a lot of good ideas, but I can't do anything about it. So yeah, I think that's been a big thing. And it's funny because I took piano lessons when I was in like elementary school, and I was like, I hate it. My parents like, you're gonna regret this, and I'm like, no, I'm not. And now I'm like, 24 years old, like God damn it,
I regret it.
Yeah.
My grandfather, he, I remember him telling me specifically, he used to know how to play piano a little bit, and he was taking lessons because his parents wanted him to. But he was like, I was busy being a young kid trying to chase girls. Yep. I was like, what young kid is chasing girls? And now it's 2019 and everybody's fucking. But I was like, what
no
young
holds
kids?
Barred.
Yeah, I was like, what young kids chasing girls? And I used to know how to play a little bit of piano. It was mostly from YouTube and like looking up tutorials and stuff, but I don't remember most of it. I can still play Clocks by Coldplay.
Very nice.
But like that's it. Yeah, and I knew how to play like a bunch of music.
I'm such a piece of shit, and like I can't stick to something for very long. But I have a keyboard, and I've messed around with it every once in a while, but it usually just ends up in the corner of my room, and I don't touch it for months and months. But the Final Fantasy X intro, that like piano part, it's like a dream of mine to be able to play that. I learned the first like 2 seconds of it, like the first, and I was like, this is yes. Nice. And then I got to the next part, and I'm like, holy shit, I cannot do this. And I have not gone back to it since, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna get that. That's a life goal is to get the final. I think it's called To Zamerkin is the actual name of the song. But
nice. Well, I'll say find a YouTube video and like take like a little bit every week because my roommate he can play really well. And like whenever I did the other podcast, I did the intro for it. And if you listen to it, it goes David and Jeremiah reading scripture, and I literally just took like the octaves, or is it octaves where you like have like 2 of the same notes, but like it's a hand apart? That's how much I don't know music. Yeah. A chord, there you go. Yeah. I was playing like chords like ding, 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 and that's literally all I did. So
hey, whatever.
If you can make a podcast intro with knowing one chord.
If there's anything I've learned being a musician, and maybe it's not as fair coming from, well, no, I think it applies to all instruments and stuff, is you kind of get to a point where like I started really listening to a lot of like technical crazy stuff, and I'm like, that is the most advanced thing you could do. And then I realized like as I've gotten more mature as a musician is like sometimes just simple things like are so much more complex than I think you, especially in context with something else, is like sometimes that's the best thing you can do. And I think you really start to feel the music is not so much trying to like just blast through it. Not to say that those things aren't like genuinely like, that's also a big part is chops and skills and everything. But and I think both are valuable, but I think that's one thing I've learned is like simplicity is okay as well. You know, like that's just as valid as something else.
Nice.
Oh no. I don't know what to ask.
What question do you have for our next guest? It doesn't have to be deep. It doesn't have to be funny. It doesn't like it can literally be anything.
I feel like I had an idea earlier and it's just completely it's completely gone. God damn it.
Ask it.
Do you believe you can fly?
Do you want to sell that? Is that what you're selling?
I think I'm gonna stick with that.
Because I'm recording this person tomorrow.
I don't know why.
Knowing them, they're gonna take this
and literally fly.
And they might just lift off out of the chair. They might fly through the speaker. Well, then good. And I'm
glad. Then maybe that was the perfect question.
This is actually, oh my gosh, I'm really excited to see how this next guest takes it, because this is going to be something else. Tim, thank you so much for joining us today on Perspectives with Jeremiah.
This is cool.
As always, I'm going to have you plug yourself if you want to. Do you have anything you want people to follow you on? I know Goodfires Royal Oaks, yourself, Instagram, anything. Yeah,
nothing. I don't really, personally, anything of mine doesn't really matter, but definitely if you follow Goodfires Royal Oaks, working on both projects, I genuinely think that good things are coming with both of those. Goodfires is working on an EP right now. I think we're trying to like piece together a tour for summer, but that's still very much under wraps. But follow Goodfires, follow Royal Oaks, follow Brand Takes Photos.
Oh yeah,
our friend Brandon.
I'm actually gonna have him up here.
He is a phenomenal photographer and just a wonderful creative vision, and he's been doing so much for us, and yeah, definitely follow him too.
You can follow those guys on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep, Facebook and Instagram.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Awesome.
I think that's all I got.
You can follow me, Jeremiah, on Instagram at ParkourGeek, ParkourG33K. You can find me on YouTube at A Tokens Take, and that's ATOKEN''S''TAKE. I'm about to start putting some more stuff up there. It's been a minute. I got some, what are those things called? Collaborations coming out soon. They may not be on my YouTube channel, but I will have them up on my Instagram and my Facebook. You can find me on Facebook at Jeremiah Stephenson. I'm probably not going to add you. But, I might as well put it out there. You might be able to do that thing where you're like, you can view this person's profile without them being your friend. And you can see some of the stuff that they're doing. But thank you guys for listening. Take whatever you can from every conversation you have. Listen to people. Love people. Be love. Be life. Be. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode. Tim is waving right now.